Hi guys, today what I'm going to do is a short tutorial on VASL on how to crop your board and create your own SSF. And SSF is short for Scenario Starter File. Now I've noticed that people playing Starter Kit are still using old SSFs, and the old SSFs are sometimes faulty on indicating the right line of sight. And also they might not contain the correct terrain. So at a risk here of not being able to show it to you, I'm going to risk it and try it myself. The first thing you want to do is start VASL and execute your module for Virtual Advanced Squad Leader, and you want to start a new game offline and go to next, and now it asks you to select a board. You look at your scenario, and this in this case it's ASL scenario 19 purple lane heart, and over here I'm not sure if you can see it. I can barely see it as well, but it's board Y, and only hex rows L to CC are being used. So now you want to go back to your VASL here and select the board, your board Y, and then you need to crop the boards, and here's board Y, hex rows. Let me see that again, L to CC. Alright, so you put in L here where it says hex rows, L to CC, and now we have a choice between crop to the middle of the hex row or crop to the nearest full hex row. If the scenario allows you to use half hexes as full hexes, you want to choose the first option and say crop. We'll do that for you. Done. Now the other thing that this scenario calls for is the wheat fields to be flooded hexes. So here you can go to terrain SSR, and first and foremost you need to check the month. The month of the scenario is June. Here in it's already set to June, grain is in season, but let's see. Here is board Y, and what you want to do is pick terrain transformations and say here grain is you can say marsh. Marsh looks a lot closer to flooded terrain than anything else, and you can change the elevation as well. Well, I think aesthetically speaking, you can apply it and see how it looks. Now you no longer have grain, you have something that looks odd and kind of and if you don't like it, you can press the reset, and then let's see other transformations. That says X to vineyard, X to rice paddy. Use ETO colors. It is European theater. So here's what we got. Here's what happened. So what you do now in this case is try and find grain here. Buildings, weather, roads, wall, hedges, other transformations. Nope. So it doesn't have any way to convert. Let's see, DTO transformations. No. PTO. No. No. Orchards are. Shell holes are. Crags are. Nope. So I guess your best bet, just so you know that those grains are not what they seem to be, is put transformations and put grain and convert it to a marsh, and then apply. So that's great. Now this kind of resembles more of what the scenario is depicting. It is not a hindrance. You could very well use your imagination and say that this is flooded land. And the other thing that the scenario calls for is that um, all grain hexes are flooded hexes and may not be entered by any unit, nor do they act as obstacle hindrance. Smoke may not be placed in a flooded hex, and the woods in CC9 are the CC6 woods mass is considered open ground. Ignore the woods illustrations. Now, getting back to that transformation here, terrain SSR. Turning woods into nothing would not be necessarily a good idea because it would this function here, I believe, would transform the entire board. Yeah, so I'm pretty good with what we've done so far. Let's X out and see what else we can do. Terrain SSR, crop boards, add overlays. No. This is a bit more tedious to do. Let's finish up and see what happens. Alright. Now you got a basic board, and so they're talking about the woods here. And I like the fact that this module has this pointer that you can left click and while holding down your control button, and you can show your opponent a reference to the board. That's great. There are overlays here, and if you go to terrain, you have different terrain types here that you can put on the board. However, a thing to keep in mind is that the terrain that is inherent to the map, for example this building, even if I put an overlay on it, in terms of LOS, it will continue, the module will continue to indicate it as if it's the original terrain on the map. So for example, if I do an LOS here, that marsh is still being shown as a hindrance. However, when you are actually playing the game, you are no longer confused that this is not a whether it's a hindrance or not. It's not. It's a marsh. It's wet ground. Don't go there. So they're talking about this row of woods being open ground. So that should be easy to do. Open ground. So open ground snow, open ground snow, open ground DTO, DTO, open ground, and you got different hexes, and you can just simply draggable overlays. Let's see. Delete that. That isn't what I want. Let's see if this is better. No. Oh, I think let's see about there. This is a bit better. And there you go. It's not perfect, but you get the picture. So you can just, I'm not the best artist in the world, but I think you get the point. The only bad thing about this is, again, you got to be a bit more artistic than I am. And once you drop it on and you select something else on the map, it's there. You cannot edit it, re-edit it. I wish I could have done a better job here, but I didn't. What's important is you get the picture as to where things come from. Let me get out of there and remove those two hexes, because I wasn't happy with the alignment. Now the other thing you want to do is basically get yourself a turn record chart. So you want to go to other, and you want to switch, just clear up. They were stacked together. These columns here, you gotta make sure that you expand it so you see where everything else is. So you have turn tracks, and you can pick from, let's make that a little bit more legible. So you have turn tracks, and you have horizontal, vertical. I like the horizontal, and you have a choice between the numbers, and then you can increase them. This scenario calls for, I believe, 6 turns, which is easy because you can use the default turn track. Drop, click, drag, and drop onto your board, and then you need some end markers. So here's your end marker. Again, this is under other, a map, and you want to, this one will not be permanent. You can click anywhere else, and you can move it around. And then face track, and I believe it's the yanks that move first, so you want to take this one as opposed to this one. So you're good on that, and you can just put it somewhere here. Now, the other thing you can do is to remind your opponent who moves first or who doesn't move later. You can go to your overlays and labels, and then you have a good selection of different labels up here. These are user labels, allied, control counters, and axis control. These are very artistic. Here in this case, I believe the German set up first and the American moves first. So what I do is I pick this label and drop it somewhere around there. Right click, label, and you say German sets up first. Say OK. Right click again on that label. Do not click anywhere else, because once you click somewhere else, it's just a permanent item, and if you've made a mistake, you'll have to hit the undo button to get it out of there. Okay, so now here you could put American. You could put player if you want, but moves first. Or be consistent and just say American moves first. There you go. Once that is done, if you click on anywhere else in the map, boom, it's set. You cannot change it unless you do the undo last move. Now there is one particular label that you can put on the board and use it for information purposes, and then oops, that's not the one because it's a permanent item. I've done this with another label. I'm not sure if it's in this module or I'm confusing it with another one. Here's control, weather, EC, DTO, EC, turn markers, turn, allied OB, info. That's not it. Let's go here and see. Label, no background. Let's see if that one works. Nope, that isn't the one. Let's see if this one is the one. So what I'm looking for here is a label that can be customized throughout the game. And if I remember, those labels are, let's see. Nope, that's not the one. Those labels are 3 lines long, and I can't seem to find them here. Now, if you want to designate an entry point, you can certainly use short arrows, curves, perimeter lines, and these perimeter lines you can rotate them left and counterclockwise and clockwise. I don't like them, and the last time I see they're permanent once you click off the map, so they can be a bit tedious to look at on the map. And what I like to do instead is let's see. What I like to do instead is use arrows and say, all right, there's there's your entry hex, right? All right, and rotate clockwise, rotate again, get it to a point all the way to the left. There you go. And then you can put a user label, say, okay, enter here. Again, with this arrow, this picture object, call it what you want. If you click somewhere else, it stays on permanent, so you cannot correct it. I guess that was done for various reasons. I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm trying to find the other labels that are edible throughout the game, and I can't find them. Yep, unrehearsed videos, unedited. What can I do? Time is precious. Alright, so there you have it. So these are the basics, and then when you have sufficient amount of information for your SSF file, all you have to do is go File, Save Game As. Ooh, that's another, there's another game save that I had. I'll just create a new folder and put SSF demo for my purposes here. Okay. Nice to have little folders on a per scenario basis. And then here, demo SSF dot VSAV. Oops, not yet. Dot VSAV. I like to put a little initials saying that this was done by me and I didn't download it from the internet, and save. And there you go. I mean, everything else is pretty straightforward. You go to your counter box here, and then you can have unit. Here's our basic markers. Fire, infantry gun, vehicle blank, and then here in info you have different other information that may be useful for your scenario. In other, let's take a look at them here. So you have your control markers. You can use either any of these. Your weather, I like to put the compass to show the direction of the board. I'm not gonna. You can configure the compass by right-clicking and saying rotating it either clockwise or counterclockwise. Flooded. You can also, if you want to get fancy, put this one here and say, okay, it's flooded. There you go. If you want that reminder, if it's an impediment to your vision and you don't like it, there's too much clutter and information, get it off. You don't want to use it, don't use it. Alright, and what else is there? It's good to explore these things. I guess everything else here is ASL related. DTO, ooh, desert, theater of operations, phase track, turn markers, geez, turn tracks. These are other stuff. Other night, OBA, Korea, SASL, Air, C, and CG. So I guess that edible note, onboard note, that I could use to modify throughout the game. Typically might belong to the classic squad leader module, unfortunately, and I use it to just note as to whether a particular unit has radio contact or not, but that's neither here or there. We're focused on creating an SSF for our purposes and not relying on a download. And I think this little tutorial was effective, and I'm using version 6.5 of VASL with the most current map boards available. I'm not using the prior version map board, so now LOS should work. And let's just double check that and test it. Here you go. So there's a LOS blockage. Pink is a hindrance and red is blocked. Here you have a hindrance, and here you have a block. And I hope you enjoyed this little video, and like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Thank you for supporting my channel. I appreciate all the fans I can get. Thank you again. Have a great day.